Namaste and welcome to Dragonfly Kukri and Knives, and this is in continuation of our test and comparison between the four kukris of the three companies. That's Cold Steel, the Gurkha Kukri, the K-Tac Kukri, and the Heavy Duty Kukri by Condor Tool and Knives, and also the Work Tuff Gear's Sadagapri Kukri, and how they compare. So right now what I got is a piece of hardwood here, and we're going to do just some cuts and kind of put a point on this just to see how they cut and shave the wood. We'll start off with the first one we start off with, and that is the Cold Steel Gurkha Kukri. Now I'll tell you, this one really likes to bite into the wood. Now the technique that I'm using, I'm just a hammer grip and I'm letting the weight of the blade do the cutting. All I'm trying to do is just aim it. And I'll tell you, she really cuts in. Very, very good. This is why this kukri has been a favorite of mine for some time, for a number of years. It's because she chops extremely, extremely well. And she cuts the wood, she doesn't break the wood. And I'll show you this up close after a few of these strikes. You can see what I'm talking about. So when I say she cuts and she doesn't smash the wood, is that this is really, really smooth. I can run my finger on here, I'm not getting any splinters in my fingers. It's polished from the cuts. Very, very good. That's the Gurkha Kukri by Cold Steel. Now we'll do the Heavy Duty Kukri by Condor Tool and Knives. Again, this is designed by Joe Flowers. This is the first one. This is one that Alan Kay competed in the Alone series with. And it's a heavier kukri. So as I am chopping with it, it is demolishing this wood. You know, this is a relevant kukri, very relevant chopper. If you're used to carrying a hand axe in the field with you, this functions very much like a hand axe would. But the difference is it's a knife, it's not an axe. Not that you can't use an axe in a lot of knife purposes, but with a knife, there's a little bit more versatility you can do. Now sure, there's no limitation. It's never going to replace an axe. An axe will always out-chop a knife. But if you didn't have an axe, or if you wanted to consolidate your gear, you wanted to lighten the load, but you want one good heavy tool that'll do a lot of things, the Heavy Duty Kukri will do the job of what a lot of small axes will do. And again, this is cutting the wood. It's not smashing the wood. So I have a nice smooth surface here as this is cutting the wood and shaving off planes. Now we can expect that the K-Tac Kukri is going to handle and perform just like the Heavy Duty Kukri. So this is almost an act of redundancy. But I'm just going to do a few chops. I'll also give you my feeling or input about the handle. That one I have taped around so it's more grippier, and I was using the lanyard to keep it from rolling. I didn't experience any rolls with the Heavy Duty Kukri. This has the micarta handle, and now I'm testing to see if it's going to roll in my hand, if I'm going to get any glints off the wood that I'm chopping, and so far I'm not experiencing that at all. There. Get that little piece off here. See, this is what's nice about these. Now remember, I'm not using my all my muscles. I'm allowing the kukri to do most of the work. And right now, with this blade, again, a nice smooth surface, no splinters. It's cutting the wood, it's not breaking the wood off. Last but not least, the Sadagapri Kukri. And I'm more putting the lanyard around my wrist or hand here to keep it out of the way when I'm chopping. As far as the grippiness, it's very comfortable to grip, and I'm going to go for where this looks like a knot is, but we'll go and try to shave this off. And again, I'm just letting the geometry and the physics of the blade to work for me. I am not trying to demolish the wood with my brute strength, because everybody knows I'm as strong as Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was Mr. Olympia, right? Not. I'm an old guy who's lucky to still be able to swing a knife. Now we've got some pieces here from, I think, previous test cuts. So I'm just kind of cleaning up this area. I think I have a helicopter flying over, so that's what you're hearing. If you find it suddenly difficult to hear what I'm saying. And they're military helicopters. They look to me like Cobras. We have a military air base not too far away, and down in San Diego we have a Marine base. They could be Marine helicopters. Alright. There's going through a knot right now. And I'm going to show you Sadag's work. So we went through this knot right here with Sadag, and she cut right through and cut it, not broke it. So it's all smooth right here, nice and smooth. But she chopped through where that knot is, and that's Sadag. The K-Tac Kukri by Work Tuff Gears. Let's do a little paper test, and then we'll go on to our next videos. So this is Sadag, and let's see how the edge is holding up for cutting. Well, she's still sharp, very, very sharp. Nice clean cuts, no tears. Gurkha Kukri, see how she's holding up. And again, nice and sharp. Not experiencing, I get a little bit of hangs. I know that I could probably touch up this blade a little bit at campsite, you know, if I was out in the wilderness, but she's still shaving sharp. This is the Heavy Duty Kukri, Condor tools and knives. And she too is very sharp. Was able to hold up an edge. Whoop. There was a little bit of a hang, but that might have been the paper and not the blade. No, that's not the blade. Blade is still really sharp. So very good. And again, we'll test the, this is the K-Tac Kukri, and she too is very, very, very sharp. I'm not, you know, doing like some folks do and go whoosh, like this, because that doesn't really tell you anything. I mean, it does, but I think it's more effective if you slow cut, because you can feel the hangs. If there's any rolled edges or whatever, you can feel it when you're cutting and slicing this paper, because it'll hang. And this is really, really sharp. It's held up the edge really, really well. So there you have Patani, you have going against the grain, you've got chopping into seasoned hardwood, and just doing some chopping tests that shows the capability of these blades. Now granted, I didn't use these all day and then test the sharpness. But as you can see, just with what I did do, that they all are razor sharp and they all can shave with. They can definitely slice through that paper. I didn't have any hangs, didn't tear the paper, except for one bad cut, and that was my fault, it wasn't the blade. So this is already very telling about the quality that you get from Cold Steel Condor tool knives and Work Tuff gear. Their blades stay sharp, they can take punishment, and the edge geometry, the tips on them are strong enough even when they look like they're too thin and fragile. That speaks very well for the tempering. Not just the hardness of the cutting edge, but the tempering of the blades, which allows for the flex. And because as I demonstrated when I showed you Sadagapri Kukri splitting the wood, you could see that the blade was bending a little bit with the wood, and yet that blade has stayed nice and straight, and it didn't change or damage the cutting edge at all. So we'll do another video number 4, and there I'm going to do some detail stuff like maybe notching with each of these kukris, just so you can see how they are and how they do in close-up types of activity and methods. So with that, stay tuned. Please like and subscribe, and leave any comments or suggestions on my YouTube page. Visit me on my Facebook page at Blue Dragonfly Trading Post. Leave comments and suggestions there as well. And visit my website at dragonflykukriandknives.com. Thank you very much. Namaste.